Oh, it didn't say anything. Great. All right. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located. Thank you so much for joining Creator Fest today with this workshop. My name is Darlise Calix, a co-founder of Creator Fest. If you're familiar with me, if you're not familiar with me, that's who I am. Pretty much the only one in the world, and I Googled it, so that's a fun fact about me. Software engineer, co-founder of Creator Fest, and very much a tech hobbyist. If you know anything about me, you know I love to try different kinds of software, different kinds of technology. I have my hands in a bunch of different cookie jars because, yeah, I mean, sometimes I have nothing better to do. And so because of that, I'm able to bring these kinds of workshops to Creator Fest because I'm so obsessive about trying different things. One thing that makes me uniquely qualified to talk about Perplexity AI today, I just finished a business fellowship with Perplexity AI, which was really interesting, finding out how to use Perplexity AI from the business standpoint. And me as a developer, I had already kind of dipped my toes in from the developer standpoint. So this is going to be a pretty unique experience. We're going to dive into both. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and I'll also let people in as they come in. Like I said, if you know anything about me and if you've taken any kind of workshop with me, I'm not a serious person. Do not expect this to be anything kind of serious. You may be at work, you may have gotten off work, you may have, gotten out of class. Wherever you are, you're not there anymore. You're with me. And so if you're with me, we're going to keep it cute. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it chill, but we are going to keep it informative when you are also going to get your hands dirty with Perplexity today. So if you don't have a Perplexity account, don't worry, we're not using any kind of pro features today. We'll go over it because there are some pro features that are really, really cool. We'll go over it towards the end, but today we're going to focus on just the free tier because I do not believe that access to technology should be paywalled. So we're going to see if we can get the most out of this technology for the free, for the $0. So now that I have said that whole spiel, and now that I see some people in the chat interacting, love to see it, love to see it. I'm going to let some more people in. All right, first of all, how many of you have ever used ChatGPT, any other tool, and gotten something back? Maybe it just wasn't what you wanted, maybe the info was outdated. We've been there. It says, oh, I can't do that. I don't have information past 2021. I'm just like, how do you not have that information? Just look it up. Been there before. Maybe, it wasn't sure where it got the information from. We deal with a lot of hallucination. We've been there. I'm getting some thumbs up, right? All right, I've been there as well. So this is one of my favorite memes. I'm gonna let some more people in. This is one of my favorite memes. Is this you? Because it has been me. I will definitely say this has been me. Arguing with AI literally until it agrees with me. And many times it won't. Sometimes it just straight up will without no context or any facts at all, which isn't really helpful for me. And eventually you kind of spend a lot of time arguing with it and not really doing anything with it. So we're going to learn some tools to make sure we're doing something with the AI tools, specifically Perplexity today, and we're not going to argue with it anymore. So moving on to the agenda, what we'll cover. All right, so think of this as our roadmap for today. We're going to talk about context engineering. You've probably heard of prompt engineering, kind of similar, but we're going to zero in on what you actually need for a good prompt, which is context. We're not going to use AI as a search tool anymore. Google, it's not Google, it's not Bing, it's not anything like that. It is its own different thing. So context engineering, the secret sauce for better AI responses. We're going to talk about hands-on practice. We're going to get some of that going. You yourself, sitting here right now with me, or standing, I don't know what you're doing. You'll rewrite some actual prompts and see the difference that it makes when you leverage context engineering. We'll go into focus modes and kind of do a deep dive on that. We'll talk about what those are. Think of them as sources, but essentially you're going to be choosing the right source to get more credible results. Next, you're going to build your own personal template. So after we go through some information, I'll teach you a framework that I use myself all the time. After I teach you that, you will use that framework to create your own personal template that you can use and leverage for the work that you are doing. And you're going to use it today on this call. The last thing we'll talk about that is always important, and I will always talk about, is ethics and best practices. We have to use AI responsibly and effectively. So we'll go over that. So by the end, you'll have a personalized prompt template, but also the confidence to make AI work for you and not the other way around. It won't be your search engine, it will be your coworker. All right. How does that sound? Give me some thumbs up. How are we feeling? We're feeling excited. Give me some hearts. Give me some, exactly. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love the energy. Perfect. And I will keep an eye on the chat. And Adrienne, stop me if I miss anything super pertinent or anything like that. All right. So moving on. And if you see me take a drink, I'm human, child. I need water. And I talk a lot and my mouth gets dry. Okay. So what makes Perplexity different? Allegedly, right? So who has used, give me a thumbs up if you have used Perplexity before. Give me a thumbs down if maybe not. Or give me a different emoji if not. Okay, we've got some people. Yeah, we've got people who have used Perplexity before. Nice. All right, so some of this may be new, some of this won't be. For those who are new to it, I'd say, and for anyone who isn't, here's what sets Perplexity maybe apart. And I say allegedly because we're going to test these claims together. I am not someone who is going to be like, oh my gosh, Perplexity is super perfect. I love it so much. It's the best thing ever. And it does exactly what it says because of marketing. I'm not that person, never going to be that person. And we won't be that person today. Okay, so, and someone in. Perfect. Okay, so what makes it different? Real-time information. Again, allegedly, right? It's not stuck in 2021 like some AI models. It's going to the best of its ability, pull from as far back as it possibly can and as far back as you allow it. Source citations. Every answer comes with actual links that you can verify. And we'll talk about verification, verifying your sources within this presentation, but it'll at least source its citations. Some of those citations may not ever exist, but it'll cite something. Next, specialized sources. So think of focus modes. They're targeted searches. So you can target academic papers, financial reports, and general web content. You can scour all of LinkedIn, Reddit. You can think of all the, find all the academic papers, financial report, any public information. It can try and find it based off of the source that you use. Lastly, free tier that actually works. I love free. Free is for me. You don't need to pay to get value if you know what you're doing with Perplexity. And I genuinely believe don't pay for something until you find that it's worth it. And so we're going to see if we can make it worth it today, but we're going to rock that free tier until we can't anymore. So think of Perplexity AI as sort of like your research coworker, never gets tired, basically cites their sources, and can pivot between helping you debug your code, analyze market trends, whatever you need, so long as you give it, and we talked about this before, and we'll talk about it later, context. So moving on to context engineering. So we're going to talk about bad prompts and good prompts, right? I'm curious your thoughts on, and type it in the chat, what makes a good prompt? What makes a bad prompt to you? What do you think makes a bad prompt versus a good prompt? And I'll take a look at the chat. Awesome. Not enough detail, context. Yep. Exactly. You always need detail. You have to give something to work with, essentially. Assumptions made, not stated. Exactly. The right words. Exactly. You're saying a lot of good things, and that's going to make my job and this presentation a lot easier. All right. Moving on from this specific slide. So we're going to talk about this specific framework that I use. I don't have a cute way of saying it. We'll say boxy. That's all I got. I'm sorry. I did my best. But this context engineering framework, basically sort of like a secret sauce. You can use this formula to get exactly what you need from any AI tool. It doesn't have to be Perplexity specific, but it is the basis to get exactly what you need out of Perplexity. So the framework, background, objective, my goodness, question, constraints, and ethics. So background, who are you? What's your context? Why do you need this? What does this even relate to? Objective, what specific outcome do you want? Question, what exactly are you asking for? Constraints, format, length, tone, audience, ethics, citations, bias awareness, source requirements. Again, this isn't just about Perplexity. This framework will allow you to be better at communicating with any AI tool, and honestly better at asking for help from people too, which is essentially what you want to be doing. It's a common misconception that you want to go in and chat GPT and Perplexity and Claude. You can just say whatever and it'll give you exactly what you need. But think of these AI tools as sort of well-informed toddlers that don't know when to stop talking, essentially. So think of a kindergartner who overheard mommy and daddy saying something that's none of their business, and now they're just running their mouth to their teacher, talking about something, and they don't really know where to stop. They're pretty well informed, but don't really have the context to really answer your question because you didn't ask it something worth answering in a very specific way. So we're going to talk through how not to treat Perplexity AI like a toddler. All right. So let's go through some examples. We'll go through an analyst example. We'll go through, I believe, and let me look at my notes here, an analyst example, developer example, a content creator example, and a founder example. And I'll ask you maybe what's the difference between the two. So looking at this analyst example, let's say I'm a data analyst or I'm a financial analyst. I've been tasked to find market trends relating to fintech in regards to maybe mobile payments, right? Bad prompt would be find market trends for fintech. That's a crazy prompt, but I would love to hear in the chat, let me know why this is a bad prompt. What are your thoughts? Awesome. Very generic, exactly. Give it a second. So broad, exactly. No specification of what market trend, exactly. Not specific. Trends for what? Trends for what? I need that in like big block letters. Trends for what? Exactly. So good prompt. I'm preparing an August 2025 board presentation on the latest US fintech trends in mobile payments for retail banks. What are the top 3 new trends since January 2024 with supporting data? Provide bullet points and recent sources. So this is a much, much better prompt because, and if we're going based off of that framework, we've given background, right? Who are you? What's the context? The context is that I'm preparing this board presentation. What specific outcome do you want? I need the top 3 new trends. What's the question? What am I asking for? What they are? What's the supporting data? And what are the constraints? I need, the constraints would be the date. So since January 2024, if we don't put the time constraints, then it could be literally data from 2023, 2022, 2021, and from a business standpoint, not really relevant to the ask that you've probably been asked. And then ethics and considerations. So we asked us to provide bullet points, but also cite recent sources. And the great thing about Perplexity is that it will link every source and show you its sources. So here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to show you what that looks like in Perplexity. So I'm going to present a different screen. There we go. All right. Present. Let's share this Perplexity screen. All right, give me a thumbs up if you're able to see Perplexity on my screen right now. Excellent. Great. Okay. So this Perplexity screen, now this account, I don't have Pro. You'll see it's asking me to upgrade to Pro down below, literally the bare bones account, right? So we're going to copy and paste this prompt that we just did. Boom. Copy and paste. And just a brief sort of walkthrough of Perplexity. It's very similar to other AI tools that you're probably familiar with. It's the text box where you're able to input your particular prompt. Perplexity is a little bit different in terms of sources, and we'll talk about those in a sec, but we're just going to focus on the bare minimum functionality. So we're just using its search function. We're asking it to come up with the top new 3 trends since January with supporting data. I'm going to click. Love it. All right. And this doesn't take a lot of time, which I love. I know there are some platforms that take a minute, and who really has the time? All right. So cool things about Perplexity, which you'll probably see in other AI tools as well, are one, sources. Where did it even pull this information from? Like before I even read any of this, where'd you get it, right? And so looking at its sources, it's taking from YouTube, it's taking from Plaid, it's taking from Juniper Research, literally all of these resources taken up to 10. And you can specify how many resources you want it to take up to. I didn't specify just because I wanted to get a broad range of information, but you can see the sources and you can also see its steps. And so it says it's searching, and also that it read all of these sources. And after it's done all of that, it's giving you your answer, which are the top 3. Can you specify nothing older than 25? We sure could. We sure could specify. Whatever you want to specify, you could include that in your prompt to specify what date range that you want to focus on. So we see that we have the top 3 trends here. It's given us the bullet points, and it's also, and let me let someone in here, it's also cited its sources. So you'll see here off to the side, you'll see that it's cited YouTube, it's cited Juniper Research, and you can click on these, and we'll talk about what it means to verify your sources and verify your information. Always, always, always check it. But you can see the sources, and you can click on it just to verify like this particular information came from this particular source. So that's a little bit about how you could use good prompting techniques and good content engineering techniques to get a good answer. All right, how do we feel about that? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Excellent. Okay, moving on. I'm going to switch back to.
Before you run away,
yeah.
Sandy is asking the question in the chat. Can you specify nothing older than 2025?
Yeah. So I did do, I think I spoke a little bit to that, but yes, you can specify any date range. So you can say, if I only want information between this date and that date, nothing older than 2025. You can even put, and let's go back actually, because I'm looking at a different screen now. You can ask it a follow-up. So let's say you've gotten this information and you're just like, okay, great, thanks. Let's say nothing, can't type. It's hard to type when you have multiple machines up. Nothing older than 2025. Literally just that. Follow-up information. It's going to take the context of what it gave you, the context of what you just gave it, and it's going to say, okay, here are the top 3 new U.S. fintech trends in mobile payments for retail banks in 2025, based only on sources from this year. So it's going to change its information based off of new context that it gives you, but it is going to remember the old information that it gave you, which I appreciate very, very much. If you worked a lot with other AI tools, sometimes they get a little forgetful. They get a little bit ditzy, you know what I'm saying? Get a little ditzy, and so they forget what you were talking about before, which is not very helpful if you're trying to have a long train of thought of information and research. So hopefully that answered your question, Sandy. Awesome. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. Presentation. All right. Moving on. And do choose a window and Great. All right. So that's an example of that's a good prompt for an analyst. Other prompts, content creator example. So going from a bad prompt, I need content ideas for my blog about women in tech. That's bad prompts. Again, broad, very general, not specific enough. What kind of content, like what is this for? What is this blog supposed to be about? It doesn't know, you don't know. So how is it supposed to give you any kind of good information? So good prompt being, I'm a tech blogger planning September content focused on women in AI careers. Give 5 trending blog title ideas. And this is what we're talking about with constraints. Give 5 trending blog title ideas, 1 sentence hook, and social media stats to back up their relevancy. So, and telling it to focus on 2025 trends, cite all sources. Adding those constraints, because why would you, if you're looking for trends, why would you want trends from 2021 and 1995, unless that's really what you were trying to write about? If that's not what you're trying to write about, and you're trying to write about AI, women in AI careers for 2025, give it that information, because your tool can't do anything that you don't tell it to, but it will essentially run its mouth. Moving on to a founder example. Again, bad prompt. Do a competitive analysis for SaaS features for HR. What is even that? Doesn't really make sense. I have a typo here in the good prompt, but you could say, I'm launching a B2B SaaS feature for HR teams soon. Summarize current competitor offerings from, and you would list other competitors that you really want to focus on, instead of a broad range of who knows what, however many other softwares that exist, and however many companies exist out there. And then what unique features have they launched in 2024, because that may be pertinent for your business needs. For mid-sized US businesses, you want to focus very specifically on how it relates to maybe your business. Maybe you are mid-size and you want to compare to other mid-size. Cite evidence and reviews, no more than 250 words. If you're familiar with the concept of tokens, you really don't want to waste those tokens spelling out or having it spell out paragraphs and paragraphs of information that may not even be relevant. And now you have to click, oh, stop, that's not what I meant, you're doing too much. And now you've wasted a bunch of tokens on information that you don't even need. So be specific, give it constraints, give it actual context, and you'll get better results. All right, so I talked a lot, but I want to give you your turn to do this. I want you to get practice doing this. So your turn being, here's a bad prompt. The bad prompt being, give me information about the tech industry. Instructions: rewrite the prompt so it matches your role's unique perspective and information needs. So let's say you're a blogger, you're a content creator. Maybe you're looking for information about the tech industry because you want to create an Instagram reel about like new hot jobs for 2025. Like, these are the jobs that you want to keep an eye on and you want to apply for and get skills for in 2025. So rewrite this bad prompt to make it work for the role and what you're asking it for. I'll give you like 2-3 minutes, don't overthink it. I'll turn back even to the other slide with the framework, and we'll test your prompt. We'll see what it does. But yeah, give me a prompt, give me background, give me objective, give me question, constraints, and ethics. So 2-3 minutes. And in the meantime, give me a thumbs up if you're following with me right now. Excellent. We're following. Excellent. But yeah, don't overthink it. And I'll switch over to Perplex. Oh, actually, I'll keep it here until somebody gives me a prompt that we'll test out. And we'll test out some others too. Again, background, objective, question, constraints, ethics. Don't overthink it. Should have had some mood music. I forgot. All right. And if you have a prompt for me, go ahead and put it in the chat so I can test it. Otherwise, we can come up with something right here, right now. All right. Sandy has a prompt for me. Give me the top 5 jobs in AI for a senior leader where you see openings and where Sandy Carter's skills set match for open roles today. Okay, the objective is to match to open senior roles and to match the skill sets. The constraints are no junior roles. Oh, let's get into it. This is about to get interesting. All right. So let me switch my screen here. Boom, put on something else so we can take a look at how this prompt is going to do in Perplexity. Now, I want to keep in mind, we're going to paste this here. We're not even using Pro Search. All right, we're not even using Pro Search. We're not using research. We're just using the search. All right, we're just going to use web. All right, I'm going to click search now. I'm curious to see what we do here. Oh, it upgraded me. Oh, it said it wanted to find out more on my behalf. So Pro considers 3 times more sources. And so you can subscribe to Pro if you want that. And that's why we have like 20 sources as opposed to the original 10. So keep that in mind. But here are the top 5 senior AI leadership job opportunities currently open. Now, before we get into that, let's take a look at the sources that it even pulled from. So it's taken from, it seems like, career-related websites. It looked up Sandy on Unstoppable Domains, LinkedIn, and looked her up on LinkedIn, tried to get some information there because if your profile is public, it can look up that information and find what it needs to know about you. Since the name was included, yeah, publicly available information about Sandy's experience, what Sandy has participated in, a bunch of other career-related websites, how Web3 and AI will find your next job. Like these are very particular to the prompt that we entered. And so looking at the answer, we have senior manager, role involves leading AI process involvement, program management. We have senior validator, senior vice president. I mean, Sandy's already a vice president, so that makes sense. AI executive and leadership roles at top tech companies, senior AI leadership on remote AI job platforms, and COO, head of business development. So these roles share key required skills and responsibilities found already in Sandy Carter's profile, such as senior executive AI leadership, AI innovation, strong operational leadership, experience in AI integration, mentorship, and team leadership at senior levels. So basically giving us a rundown of like, based off the experience and based off what I found out and based off what I researched, here's where I think that you should go. And it gave us 5, just like we asked for. It gave us the constraints, under the constraints that we put. I love that. I love that. I see Zaria put in one, so I'm going to copy and paste because I'm curious as well.
This is Sandy. I just have a question for you. So I just did this for a group of people right before this who were laid off, and I was trying to help them find jobs. And when I put the same prompt into Perplexity, for me, it gives me links to Indeed and other job sites. I didn't see that on yours. Did I miss it?
No, let's see. So links that, let's see, what are the objectives? Give me top 5 jobs. So I think as it understood jobs to be job roles. So if we're wanting, let's say, because we can ask a follow-up, right?
I put the same prompt into Perplexity, and for me, the links it gave me were Indeed, and they were actually roles.
Interesting. So this is like the difference between, I think, just when you're putting in a prompt, because of the nature of AI, we may get differing results. So let's see what happens if we specify, I'd like links to specific roles that are available. And we can specify even our sources as well. Sources, LinkedIn, Indeed. What's another one? ZipRecruiter?
ZipRecruiter, yep.
Site links and sources. So let's see what that provides. Okay, and we're gonna test if these are real because I mean anyone can come up with like a link. Yep. And this is where we talk about verifying. So we're gonna click, click, click. Just a moment.
Hmm.
You're not real. Sources. And this is why I say, like, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly. So senior, looking at our sources, it does give us access to Indeed in terms of like, yes, you can click on and find roles, but maybe not particular roles. Interesting.
Isn't it? It's also interesting that today I'm in North Carolina because my dad had a heart attack. So all the roles that came up for me were North Carolina, but I live in California normally. But it was fascinating that Perplexity figured out, oh, she's in North Carolina. I'm going to give her roles in North Carolina. So anyway,
Interesting.
just some observations. Yeah.
No, that's great. Honestly, as I'm looking at it here, we're getting one result, and since I am also in North Carolina, it's giving North Carolina. So I'm curious, if I wasn't in North Carolina, would it give me the same result? These are like weird, fascinating questions that I don't
Yeah.
even have answers to, but AI can be weird like that. And I'm curious because sometimes I ask AI, like, where'd you get this information? How'd you know I was here? But we
Yeah.
won't ask that today.
Yeah.
We won't
Thank
ask
you.
it. No, thanks so much, Sandy. That was great. All right, Zaria, we're gonna enter yours, and then we're gonna move on really quick because I want to be cognizant of time. All right, so I'm an entry-level software engineer looking to land my first role. Help me tailor my resume to stand out. Oh, okay. You have I don't have your resume, so this makes little less sense for me to do, but I do love your prompt because you gave context, you gave it constraints, and you gave it information that it needed. Give me a list of 10 software engineer subgenres that would fit my experience. This is a great prompt, but I don't have a resume, so it doesn't make sense for me to do it. That would not be a real answer. But moving on to the next slide, I love that we're finding out new stuff about Perplexity that I didn't know about. All right, moving on to the next slide. We're gonna go back to this screen. Something else. All right, great usage of the Boxy framework. We're just gonna keep calling it Boxy because now it sounds cute to me. All right. We had your turn. So now we're going to talk about sources, right? So sources strategy. Now that you understand context engineering, think of sources as sort of like having different research assistants who know exactly where to look for the best information. So you wouldn't go to one person if the other person had way more context information about that particular topic. And so with the Perplexity free tier, you have access to web, academic, and finance. So web for general internet search, which is essentially what we saw. Academic, where you could get information about from scholarly articles and research. And then finance, business filings, SEC reports, publicly available business information. So we'll go through how to choose your source and how that relates to choosing your credibility level. Some information and some things that you're asking for would do best by having the additional context of an additional source. Maybe you don't necessarily want Reddit information while you're trying to think about business numbers and impact. Like that's not really going to be all that credible when you're going into a presentation. And same thing for if you're researching for a research paper, you're in school, maybe, LinkedIn isn't the end all be all in terms of like how, I don't know, whatever you're researching, it's probably not the end all be all social media content of information. So you're going to want to leverage academic information to bolster that research. So sources strategy, if you need credible research, go the academic source route. If you want current business data, go the finance source route. And if you want general information hunting, web source route. But we can combine them as well. So thinking about, let's see what strategies. We could use this strategy. We'll go through a web strategy. We'll go through some combination strategies. So let me copy and paste this prompt and this is something I've actually researched myself because I had this problem and I needed help on figuring out what the heck was going on. So choose this window, going back to Perplexity. All right, show me recent 2025 solutions to React hydration mismatch, summarized from developer blogs and forums. So this is just with web, and where you'd find how to pick your source in Perplexity is going off to this sort of globe icon in the center. And I'll make this even bigger. Globe icon over here, set sources for the search. So like I said, you have access, oh, and you have access to social as well. Web, academic, social, finance. So for this, we can do web. We could also do social, honestly, as well, because if you're a developer, you know, plenty of people talk about the solutions to certain problems, either on Reddit, Stack Overflow, LinkedIn. So we're going to ask it to search these two resources, and let's see what it says. So while it's coming up with our answer, let's see its sources. Dev community, so dev.to, very familiar with that platform, the Next.js. It's a very Next.js specific problem, so that makes sense as that being the source. Other developer websites, Builder.io, Stack Overflow, Reddit, GitHub. These are all very, LogRocket for sure. Most of these are sources that I'm familiar with and readily or go to very often for dev specific answers. And as you see here in our answer, we're able to see the different approaches and recent solutions that were in 2025, focusing on this particular error. I won't read through it because many of us here are not developers and it wouldn't necessarily make sense. But like we see here, we're able to see the different sources that it went through. So clicking on GitHub, that GitHub resource, you'll see the hydration error, Next.js 15. I specified React 18. This is React 19, but it could still be relevant. It tried to match as closely as possible. But that is an example of using particular resources to, or particular sources and a source strategy to get a better answer. We can go with another example. Let's say I'm a sales professional. I think there's somebody who's in sales here, and you're maybe wanting to research, let's say Canvas. I don't know why you'd be selling to Canva, but that's just the first company that came to my mind. But let's say we want to research Canva's recent funding, leadership changes, and industry challenges in 2025. We're going to ask it what pain points are similar companies discussing, and we're going to ask for 3 conversation starters. So let's go back to Perplexity here. Boom, paste. And I did it in the same chat just because I didn't want to have to create a new one. It's going to do what I ask anyway, and I'm not referencing that last chat. So we should be fine here. All right, thinking about our resources. So I have prospect company. My bad. Let's do that again. I wonder what it said as the it literally said, okay, prospect company. Research Canvas. Let's get specific on who we're talking about here. All right, Canva grades. Okay, so now we have recent funding and valuation. So thinking about the numbers and financials related to it. And this is the basic search. In terms of like leadership, industry challenges, in terms of like resources, it chose websites, which, you know, could be reliable, could not be, kind of relies on that data to be updated by who knows who and who knows what. We're going to do that one again. And we're going to say research again. We're going to say Canvas. Oh, I have to choose a new chat. So let's do that because now it's asking for follow-up. Boom. Research Canvas. We're going to change our source, or we're going to add a source. So we're going to use web, but we're going to add financial backing to it. So search those SEC filings. I want to get kind of specific about numbers that are publicly available and publicly checked. So clicking on that. Now the number of our sources has increased. Sources, so same with those websites, but also we're seeing some more financial information. We're seeing Forbes, we're seeing the SEC, so Canva 2024 a series, more SEC information, Foster School of Business, and so we're getting more information based off of the additional source that we outlined, which is the finance SEC filings and everything like that. So yeah, that's an example of adding different sources. Moving on and keeping keeping in mind time, I'll skip the build your own personal template, but I'll still give you access to do that yourself. I want to talk about ethics and best practices, because that is a huge game changer when it comes to Perplexity, but also when it comes to AI tools in general. So let's switch here back to the presentation. Choose. Great. All right. Moving on. All right. Oop, let's go back. All right. AI ethics, research, hygiene. So reality check, AI is very powerful. I won't say it's very smart. I'll always say that it's well informed. But it's not perfect. So as technologists, as people who utilize technology, we all have a responsibility to use these tools really thoughtfully, especially when our work impacts others. So non-negotiable workflow, and you see them on the slides. Consider them habits. Always click source links. AI has a propensity to hallucinate. It'll come up, and I came across this very recently, of it saying that someone quoted and said this thing, and then when I asked it, where'd you get it from, and I asked it to re-find its source, it couldn't find it. It didn't exist. So always click source links and verify information from multiple sources. Check publication dates, especially if you're utilizing the academic feature. Check when that was even published. It may not even be relevant to the information that is at hand. Ask about limitations and bias, and respect privacy boundaries. So we can trust, but we always verify. And even trusting is a little iffy when it comes to AI tools. So regardless of what you see on that screen and what comes up, don't take it at face value. Always verify. So ethical prompting. What makes a good and ethical prompt versus a very unethical prompt? Good research, Canvas, publicly shared business developments, very public information. Anybody can find it via Google search or whatever search. There's no secret. It's not under any wall or anything like that. What you want to avoid, find personal information about an individual. You'd think that is very much common sense, but you'd be surprised as to how many people will, let's say you're uploading a file into Perplexity that has user information. It has their name, it has their age, it has demographic information, and you're uploading it to this platform that you're, even though we love to pretend that we're being super secure, odds are you're not reading the terms and conditions, you're not reading their privacy policy, you don't know what they're doing with this information. And so good prompting respects privacy boundaries and uses only public information. And this is especially important if you're in sales, business development, if you're dealing with especially health, if you're dealing with anything private, it's probably a good route not to go the creepy route and just avoid using personal information when you're prompting. So there are some very clear do's and don'ts when it comes to privacy guidelines. Never upload confidential client data. Don't seek private personal information. Avoid internal company documents unless you have a privately hosted LLM, or just anonymize. If you want to use internal documents and you're using and we'll talk about this a little bit, sort of a company specific Perplexity workspace, remove any identifying information, anonymize and generalize. And then be transparent about research methods. So if you're a student and you're using tools like this, or you're a freelancer or business owner and using tools like this to put out information or put out certain products, just be transparent that, yeah, this was created or used, or I had a little bit of help with AI. You don't have to say everything that you did, but it does help in terms of context and in terms of transparency that you used these tools. Okay, so we'll talk. We talked a little bit about how to click to verify your source links, but like I said, check author credibility. Usually, if I'm going into, and I'll go in here. Oh, there we go. 1 second. There we go. I will go into Perplexity now. And then we'll talk about some pro features, because there are some things for Perplexity free that you just cannot do unless you have pro, and it's kind of crazy. All right, so moving on. Exit. Okay, share. Present something else. Window, share. Oop, wrong screen. There's something else. Oh, we're not doing sidecar anymore. 1 second. There we go. All right. Boom. All right, share. All right. Let me know if you're able to see the Perplexity screen.
No, not yet.
Thumbs up. Okay. I'm seeing thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay.
No, it's not Perplexity.
Adrian, give me an audible yes, no, because now I can't see the screen. I'm using a different screen now.
No, it's not there.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay, great. We got a thumbs up. All right, cool. All right. Seeing this, like I said, clicking around your sources. So let's say, and I'm going to do a new one here. Research all recent, what do you call those things? Let's see, research all recent, actually, research cycle syncing, because we're women here. Syncing and find research papers in regards
Darlene, can you hear me?
It pertains to work schedules.
Darlene, can you hear Adrian? Can you hear anybody?
Use
Darlene,
info.
I'm gonna give her a call.
Yeah, I don't think she can hear us.
24. Let's do 2023 to 2025. All right, and we're gonna go academic route. And I know we have about 8 minutes left, so we're gonna run through this really fast. Right, and honestly, let's see what happens if we don't do web. All right, so recent research as it pertains to work schedules is limited. All right, so going here, clicking links, like I said, clicking on everything to see where this information is coming from, if these are actual publications versus what we saw earlier where it kind of hallucinated a link. And we're seeing here, these are actual publications: Rhythm of Work, Cancer Research, let's see, AACR journals, XYZ. Okay, perfect. Oh, 1 second. I'm hearing something in the chat. Yes. Oh,
no,
you don't
we
see the
cannot
Perplexity
see
screen.
it.
Can you hear us?
No, I don't think she can hear.
1 second.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you. Can we see the Perplexity screen?
No,
Okay, no, we can't.
Got you. Got you. There we go. Okay, so let's do this. All right.
Maybe if we stop the share and then reshare it.
Yeah.
We were trying to tell you, it just was not coming through.
Your focus mode is really good.
It really is.
A little bit too focused.
Your focus mode is really, really good.
Boom. Can we see it now?
Yes.
Boom. Well, that's awkward. Thank you so much for that.
It's all good.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, very quickly running through, I did a research prompt to look up cycle syncing research and find research papers in regards to how it pertains to work schedules, use info from 2023 to 2025. And so in terms of verifying the source links, verify publication dates, cross-referencing, what we would do is, like I said, go through the different sources, clicking on the different links, which I did, verifying these actually exist and aren't like fake, made up, ghost links that don't actually pull up anything except 404s, clicking through that and even checking like the dates around when they were published to make sure that they were actually relevant to me, which they were. So like this one was in 2023. This one was in 2023 as well. And this one was 2020. This one doesn't say the specific date, so that's a little awkward. And when it comes to stuff like this, I would likely omit this in the future. And what you can also do is specify, if you know specific journals that you want to specify, you can specify within the prompt as well. Okay. All right, moving on from that. So with the free tier, and I'll go back to the presentation. There we go. Present something else. Present a window. There we go. All right. So free tier power user tips, layer context into every prompt, use focus modes or those source modes strategically. Don't accept your first answer. Iterate your best prompts in a template library. So if you find a prompt that works and you're like, oh, this is giving me the details and information that I want in the way that I want that, save that prompt. And always verify your sources for important decisions. Now, there are some things, and I'll go back because we have like a few minutes left. There are some things like Perplexity, you can do a lot on the free tier, but what you can do on the pro tier, insane at some points. First is team collaboration spaces. And I'll actually go into Perplexity right now. That's it. And log into, I'm looking at, oh, I'm already in my pro. So let's go into the chat. So I have a Perplexity Pro account. And so some things that you get access to, and let me know if you can see it. Give me a thumbs up. I'll make this even bigger. Great. Awesome. You get access to team spaces or just spaces in general where you can create, and this is like some Creator Fest specific spaces where you can create a space to share all of this information. So all those threads that we created that were all over the place and didn't really like they could relate, they maybe couldn't relate. If there are threads that can relate, you can put them into spaces. And not only that, you can share them with other people. And so if I wanted to invite Adrienne in here too, and which I have, if I wanted to invite Adrienne in here and we could literally collaborate on research, she sees my train of thought, she understands like, okay, this is what we're thinking and everything like that, we can do that. And then we can mention other spaces, we can mention other threads as well. One thing I want to show, and I'll share here because I am currently using Perplexity's comment browser. And I thought it was a gimmick. I was like, surely this can't be all that convenient, but we're going to see just how convenient it is. Present this window. All right. So this is the comment browser. A couple of things that are a little bit different about the comment browser is one, you're able to leverage its voice mode. So if you want to talk to your browser, again, this is something that I do as someone who has a constant stream of thought. And I'm like, I just need, hey, I'm thinking about this. Can you research that? I can't demo it now because I'm literally using voice right now on the call. But if that's what you wanted to do, you could do that. Another interesting thing is its assistant within its browser. If you're familiar with Gemini, Gemini has something very similar with Google Chrome. But if I'm looking at, let's go to the Creator Fest newsletter, which 100% you should subscribe to if you're not. But this is a Creator Fest newsletter. And let's say I'm going to open up, and we just launched a newsletter today. If maybe I'm on the go, I don't have the time to read all of this. I just literally want to get the gist of it. And I did this earlier, but I'll create a new one. I can literally tell it, summarize this email newsletter. And it's going to read the source being the page that is currently on, tell me what the themes are, what the recap is, everything, what the opportunities are, and what the key message is. So that's one cool thing about using Comet, but also fun and interesting feature is that I can mention tabs. So let's say I have a tab open. Let's see, your AI powered. So this is like the workshop registration. And if I just didn't want to look up when this specific workshop was going to be, I could say, when is the Perplexity workshop? I mentioned the tab happening. Looking at the timing to provide accurate. All right, and then it says it took place 12-1, which is literally what's happening right now. I didn't have to search or anything like that. It just read my tab. Other possibilities would be around, and what I've seen is like, if you have multiple tabs open of like different bikes and they're all on Amazon, you could literally tag all the different tabs and ask it, when is this bike, or what bike would get to me the fastest, and it will literally go through all the clicks and all the searches to find out what would get to you the fastest. You can order, let's say you're looking at a recipe on whatever recipe platform, you're saying like, I really like this recipe, order all of this on Instacart. You could do that as well. Like, it's a really cool product. It is 102, so I want to be cognizant of like, if there are any questions. This was a lot more than an hour, I think, could do given Perplexity's capabilities, but hopefully I covered enough of it to give you an idea of how to leverage it more efficiently. But if you do have any questions, let me know in the chat. But also, if you enjoyed the workshop or you're just like, okay, I kind of need some new things, or let me know of anything, I'll drop that in the chat. Let me know how you found the workshop and what I can do to improve in the future. I'll stop presenting. But yeah, any questions on Perplexity and how to use it, especially particular to your specific role? And you can come up on mic, you can put it in the chat or anything.
That was phenomenal, Darlius.
Hey.
You did great. You were so focused.
I was, and yeah.
I think that, we had a lot of opportunity to look at this tool. For anyone that has questions, please feel comfortable coming off the mic. We love to answer them. We love to engage with you guys too.
Awesome.
And in light of that as well, if you were to check out the newsletter link that I shared in our chat, you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can find all of our socials. You can join our Discord, which is where you would find quickly the link for the recording and the slides. If you're interested in that, we'd love to welcome you there. And also, if you check out our newsletter and you're interested in volunteering with us, this is something that we are looking forward to sharing with our volunteers in our community, offering pro subscriptions to Perplexity as well as access to Comment. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper, that would be a perk for, getting a little bit more involved with us. But any questions? No, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah,
it was fun though. It was fun.
Hopefully I can do something with just like Perplexity Pro, because that's really where you get into like the bread and butter of Perplexity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you need to be logged into everything in order for it to go ahead and buy your grocery list, right?
Yeah, precisely. But you don't have to log in on Perplexity. You don't need to connect it to Perplexity. You can have it logged in like on a different tab. Like you're just logged into Instacart. So what I used Perplexity for recently, we're driving from North Carolina to Maine and then to Montreal and then back. So we had to figure out what the best route was. And I didn't want to do all that like Google mapping and stuff like that, pull it up on my computer and stuff like that. And what we saw was that it literally does the opening of Google Maps, puts in your origin destination and your final destination and finds that route and then recommends you the different routes. And so I thought that was cool, just watching it like literally open up, a different tab and like literally look up that information without it having to connect to any accounts. Like I didn't have to connect it to my Google or anything like that. So Perplexity, like it's great for business, it's great for dev, it's great for sales, it's great for design, but it's also just great for life in terms of like if you want to use that kind of technology to make your life a little bit easier, and you want to cut down on how much time you spend searching. I spend a lot of time searching when it comes to like trips and what restaurant should I go to and XYZ. And I love that I can just give something, just all the context around, like literally word vomit a little bit, but in a way that makes sense. But give it context around what I need and what I want, and how I want it. And it will do that work. And I literally just let it run while I went and did other things and then just came back to the tab. So yeah, really convenient. And I start my doctor next month. So this is I love that. I'm so curious to see how you utilize Perplexity with that. It's a great research tool. If nothing else, it's a great research tool. And we've been using it quite a bit with Create Her Fest in terms of zeroing in on how we do certain things, and have been seeing like some interesting results because of it. So I'm excited to see, how Perplexity grows, how you all grow with it, how we grow with it. And we'll drop some tips and knowledge as we learn along the way.
Also, shout out to you, Joelle. Go ahead. We see you.
I know, doctorate.
Congratulations.
Right. Congrats.
Zaria dropped the link for you. I'm so excited that you're interested in volunteering. I think, Nia's still here. Thank you so much for joining. And yes, ChatGPT can be incredibly overbearing.
Yes.
For no reason.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, y'all. I won't hold y'all any longer. Thanks so much for joining me and sticking with me through this rambling of like Perplexity, allegedly. That should have been the title, allegedly. Anyway.
That's part two.
That's part two.
Wait. I got a second question real quick.
Yeah.
You know how we're always telling people don't click on these links, because like, what do you say about, because you just said click on these links.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. What you
talk about it?
I'm telling people don't click on the link.
Don't click on the link.
How do you feel about telling people clicking on these links that are given to you by Perplexity? Does it scan them before providing the link? As we saw, some of these links were like some, shorthanded BS links. It wasn't anything real. So how do we know that we're actually clicking on a safe link?
So let's find out, right? Let's say, don't close all my tabs.
And this is definitely something that I would like to do a second or third workshop on. I'm talking about injection when it comes to AI poisoning, prompt poisoning, because this is absolutely something we should all talk about.
I have a question as well.
Yes.
Okay, so my question was, even with clicking on the tabs, I was thinking about like, is it capturing like this session token from the third party app, even though we're logged into it, or like, is that something to be concerned about as well?
I would say always be concerned, and operate from a zero trust perspective. Give it only what it needs to. Like often I'll separate out, for instance, this particular, and using comment, it doesn't have access to like my personal email or anything like that. It's very much like Create Her Fest specific. Even when it comes to like integrations that it has, I don't connect everything in anything, because like at the end of the day, I didn't build this software. And if you keep tabs on AI news, they don't even totally understand what they themselves have built. And so given that context, operate from a zero trust. So if they do like operate in terms of like keeping track of, because even as you see it here, I searched up morning brew and stuff. And if I were to, sometimes I'll open it up like this. But sometimes you can just provide or ask it to provide the links. So let's say provide, research, new jobs in community management, list out the links, write out the full, and this requires maybe knowledge of cybersecurity in that way as well, which is like part of our job, but part of everyone's job. To kind of keep abreast of this, like how to be safe on the internet. That's kind of like a lost art, I think, at this point, but you can ask it to like write out the full URL from Indeed. Let's say from Indeed 2024 to 2020. Well, let's just say July to August 2025. And let's see what that does. All right, so it's going to do that. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. All right, so now we have the full URLs, right? So what I often do, and these look fake as heck. They look fake as hell. But what I sometimes do, especially if I get access to the URL, it has a check sources, which we're going to check it. All right, great. So that's the source. However, what I can do myself is Lord, I gotta move this Google Meet. There we go. Copy this URL, read for what it is, and then paste it as opposed to clicking it. But oftentimes, some things that you can be aware of when it comes to URLs is, does this URL look real? If it's www.indeed, but with like 3 E's, .com, likely not the Indeed that we think, right? Like there are telltale signs of like this is a very real URL and this is a very not so real URL. Like Indeed Indeed isn't sending from Indeed.net, so it does require, I think, a very specific way of going about doing your research and going about clicking. You can check the sources. Sometimes I'll even be like, okay, thanks for the link and thanks for like the title of the page and stuff like that. Especially if you go here, you can see the title of the page and stuff like that. And then I'll just go back into my browser and like look it up myself. Because now you've given me the source, you've told me where to find it. But I don't necessarily have to use that to verify. So that's like an extra added step. Sometimes people can think cyber is a little, or being secure in that way adds extra steps, but like what's extra steps when it comes to your information and like your financials and stuff like that, like your actual data. So what were you saying, Adrienne?
Yeah, for those of you that are not using Comet, which are many people, unless you want to volunteer with us, maybe you will be soon. There are tools that you can use that can, actually scan and identify URLs. They'll search them, they'll see if they're malicious or not. So just in case they're not already in your arsenal, for example, many people use Chrome browser and they have a few extensions. One of them I use is called Virus Total. So they have an extension for, I think, Edge and a few other browsers too, but it's a way for you to inspect links. And if you don't have that extension itself, or if you don't want to download it, you can also use things like URL void, which is where you're like copying and pasting the link into a scanner. It can check files for you. Both tools can check files for you as well. But yeah, it's just going to be a layered approach. You want to be cautious and prioritize that cybersecurity aspect fundamentally. But these are also tools you can use on your phone. You can use these tools, when you're browsing on your mobile, because just because you're on a cell phone doesn't mean that you're not impervious. Just because you use a Mac, please do not believe that you're impervious to malicious software, injections, maleficent downloads, whatever the case may be. We want to spend a lot of time going down these rabbit holes and these tangents. So if you are more interested in this, keep watch, sign up for our newsletter, check us out in October, because we're going to be doing a cybersecurity awareness campaign and talking so much more about this, which Blossom is also a part of. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right, now we've really held y'all up. So I will let everyone else go, but thanks so much for sticking around. And yeah, make sure you fill out that feedback survey, but also subscribe to the newsletter and enjoy the rest of your either morning, afternoon, and or evening. So thanks, y'all.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.